Krishna. Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, у вас есть выбор прочитать стих и
Chaitanya
комментарий
Chandracharan
небольшой,
Prabhu, would you
потом
like to start by
задать тему,
reading
хотя тема очевидна,
from a
мудрецы,
verse
которые поклонялись испокон веков,
and the commentary,
Биджире,
and
Монайо,
then start a discussion
Барбантам, Адхокшаджам, Верховной Личности Бога,
about
что мы
the
должны
sages
следовать по стопам.
who've been worshipping the Lord and following the mahājanas.
Если можно, чуть погромче.
Prabhupada was saying, when you are tired of talking,
Интересно,
then you can stop and make a break, taking the prasadam, and that would be your rest. So he was saying, we need to wear ourselves out. Putting all our forces into work on the intellectual level and emotional level, etc., etc. And this is Shrimad Bhagavatam, and this process is only authorized when it's connected to the Lord, and it requires using our full capacities in serving the Lord. Without any gain, that would be pure devotional service through kirtan, smaranam, etc., etc. So when we hear and repeat, it requires full engagement. And when you listen, you should not argue. So it means
свой потенциал духовный, любовь раскрыть свою, как бы, к Богу, вот, признательность Ему. То есть ощутить бхакти нужно.
Full engagement.
И это делали мудрецы с самого начала, здесь говорится, они уже в этом процессе были с самого начала. Прабхупада говорит о 7 мудрецах Вселенной. 7.
And Prabhupada, he says some dedication, 100% dedication is required in this process. And gradually, Prabhupada was saying, while the knowledge that those yogis and mystics had diminishing, there would be some new teachings appearing, because for the people, the God was not an absolute fact with the time. And there were many new teachings appeared. And with the time, we came to that thing that only 25% of the whole population only have the knowledge about the Lord, and only those people, they use their intellect and knowledge, who could really use their intelligence to serve the Lord. The rest of the population would just work to keep their lives going. I will read from the text once again and the purport, if you allow me, please. Yeah, sure, and you can do the commentary as well. Previously, let me see, in Sanskrit, what does it mean, previously?
Атха агре.
Atha agre.
Агри, я ищу это слово.
Agre.
Это
I'm
третье
looking for
слово
this
в
word.
первой строчке.
It's a third word in the first line.
Первой строчки?
В первой строчке третье слово.
Да.
Oh yeah,
Агри, это получается четвертое слово, тут двусложное,
agree.
поэтому.
The fourth
Двусложное
word.
слово, поэтому оно не бросилось в глаза. Атхагри.
Athagre.
Атхагри. Агри, прежде.
Agre.
Прежде здесь
Previously.
указывается на начало.
Previously it
Раньше, то есть начать
means
обратиться к
in the
Пуранам.
beginning. So we need to go and look up in the Puranas.
И вот раньше. Пураны знают об этом.
Puranas know.
Раньше все великие мудрецы
Previously,
служили личности Бога.
all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. That was the reason they were serving the Lord, because he was over the material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. That's what they were doing. That was the only process, the only method. They knew what to do. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he is the source of everything, he is the beginning of everything. He is also the middle and the end. He's touching the beginning and then the middle and the end. And now it's the age of Kali, so it's more like the end of this cycle. And soon there will be new cycle, so we're getting close to the end of the cycle, the end of Kali Yuga. And so there is a beginning. And this text is describing the beginning of this cycle. Later on, Prabhupada was saying we're approaching to the middle, and we are getting to this point where everything is being decomposing, degrading. In the beginning, the Lord is maintaining everything in the middle, and then in the end he puts an end to everything. And he's above all the three modes of material nature: the creation, maintenance, and destruction. So to be liberated from this state, we need to apply, we need to look for advice and instructions from mahājanas, from sages. And Bhagavad Puran is the source. And when we get the knowledge from the authorized source, then we also can be liberated. So in different epochs, methods could vary, and we are recommended to follow the Bhakti Yoga path. Srila Prabhupada gave us the mantra, and he said that Bhakti Yoga starts with chanting the holy names of the Lord. He is Bhagavan Svayam, and he could give us the bhakti, the love for God. And Lord Chaitanya, he came when Advaita Acharya called for him. And Lord Chaitanya came to spread the love for God all around the world. And this is our mission, to spread this knowledge. The purpose of performing religion is neither to profit by material gain, nor to get the simple knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. The ultimate aim of religious performances is to release oneself from material bondage and regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world, where the personality of Godhead is the supreme person. Laws of religion, therefore, are directly enacted by the personality of Godhead, and except for the mahājanas or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. There are 12 particular agents of the Lord, who know the purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto him. Persons who desire their own good way follow these mahājanas and thus attain the supreme benefit. What I should highlight in this text, in this purport, there are a couple of things that we need to pay attention, and Prabhupada is sharing his secret here. In the commentary, it's very easy to miss this thing. Pay attention to the beginning of this purport. What is the meaning of this commentary? The religion is there not to get material gain or learn how to discerning matter from spirit, not karma and jnana, not to give a successful activity or jnana, the ability to discuss certain things. These are two things that Maya uses in her service. Mental speculation is a big obstacle, and it gives us the ability to share our opinion and to argue about things. That's why we have this TV broadcasting nowadays and internet broadcasts. But it is said that the highest goal is to be liberated and get oneself released from material bondage to regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world. So there should be an example shown. Even though sages, they know that people are engaged in activity that is considered to be wrong, they try not to bother them by the talking. They try to show the proper example. So Prabhupada wanted us to be practical and trying to show that in ISKCON we could make this as an example. So it's not a matter of options or having an opinion. In Shastra it is said that Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam. There is no need to discuss all these possibilities. There is only one path and one process in the age of Kali that we need to practice. It's the Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada gave us this practical approach in all spheres of life. Like he said, in order to get food, you need to be engaged in the agricultural field of activity. And then in order to get health, he also gets some instructions how to get your mind healthy. You need to read from the purports, stop listening, stop a bad association. You need to discuss some elevated topics so your mind would be released. And he was showing the way we should educate our mind. And then he was saying you need to act this way, you need to be always in this elevated state of mind to get the spirit of happiness. When we get in touch with Srila Prabhupada's books, we get this feeling of happiness, of positivity. We can feel the touch of the influence of prasadam and mantra. So we should not slide down to this sphere of mental speculation. We need to get ourselves engaged in the practice. That's what mahājanas were saying. Mahājanas, they can act this way, showing the example, not just talking, not just theorizing. This is the example of mahājana, and this is the secret of this commentary that I see here. Because we can just accept it only in theory without understanding what Prabhupada was saying. He was saying, if you're tired, just eat prasadam. I will stop on this. Prabhu, you owned your prasadam for sure. Because Prabhupada, I've heard that he said, there is no Shrimad Bhagavatam, no prasadam for you. And he set the Brahmanic standards. First, Mangalarati, then the japa, and then we get the darshan of the deities, and then we get the lecture on Shrimad Bhagavatam, and then we can take the prasadam. And you've owned the prasadam today, and we didn't. Your explanation was perfect, excellent. Bring here the main topics. So you pointed out a very important thing here, that the religion there is not to get the material gain from, and not to discerning matter from spirit. It's not the knowledge of discerning matter from spirit, not karma, not jnana. We need to be grounded in our faith, understanding that the only perfect path of mahājanas is the path of worshipping Mahajan, and the worshipping of the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, that the Lord is situated beyond the three modes of material nature. They were the mahājanas, they were rendering the service to the Lord in order to get bhakti. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he's saying we need to follow such personalities, and they've left, or they covered this path. So it is important to be grounded in this faith of bhakti, to understand that this is the only main purpose, not by karma or jnana. Even though inside of bhakti there is everything, it could be another topic of discussion. It is interesting that this text is given us by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says, he gives the definition of bhakti and unalloyed devotional service definition. He's saying that jnana karma anyavritam, that it is tataksha lakshanam, the activity that is free from jnana and karma, but it's not bhakti yet. Bhakti is Krishna Anushilanam, the practice that when we follow mahājanas and then Shravanam Kirtanam, attaching us to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the devotional service. This devotional service should be anukulyana, bringing joy to Krishna. This is the secret of bhakti, and we can only attain it or feel it following the instructions and the path of Mahājanas, not only being theory, arguing or mental speculating it, getting the knowledge of discerning, but following them. And once Prabhupada asked his disciples, a small group of disciples, he said, why do you know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Prabhupada was in the state of mind that he wanted to train his disciples and show him unusual side of thinking. And disciples started to say, well, the Shastras is saying that this is the reason. And he said, well, Shastra is always giving us the new reason. And someone said, because you're a spiritual master and you're telling us this. And Prabhupada said, no, anything can happen. Who knows? Maybe I'm lying to you. And then, because I've heard someone, one of the devotees, I was listening from him, who was there at that meeting, and he was a young guy, and he wanted to say something also, and the only thing he could bring up was, but he was doubting, was it the correct thing to say? But anyway, he said it. He got his fourth, and he said, because we feel that Krishna is the Supreme. And Srila Prabhupada opened his eyes widely and he was like, right, this is correct, because we feel it. And this feeling is very important. To get it from Mahājanas, from great teachers, it's not, it's adhokshaja. We cannot see it with our eyes, but we could feel it. It's just like we are reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita right now, and we stopped on the 18th chapter, and when the movement of Hare Krishna just being shaped out, Prabhupada was taking care of all of them, feeding them, and suddenly something started to move, to rise among those young guys' minds, and they started to understand that they need to do something also for Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was giving lecturing them, and one day they had this homeless guy, drunk, who came into the room, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just here to... And he was walking through the room, across the room to the bathroom, and he brought, it appeared to be that he brought some toilet paper that he left there, and Prabhupada said, this is the right understanding. He's engaged in a devotional service, practically. Would you like to add something else? Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu. Yeah, it's a good point that by pratyaksha, by the mercy of the Lord and Bhagavatam and Guru, we could feel something we could not perceive by the material feelings. There might be some other senses. So there's a feel of perception. It's like we could perceive everything through ears, through the eyes. We could see the deities in the temple. and then taking the prasadam and even the touching the surface, touching the devotees during devotional service will get purified from the modes of nature. These are all the senses of perception, and it makes us service, our service, more pleasant to us. And then we also have the senses of speech, the senses of action. And comparing to the spiritual feelings we get, how can we apply and use our senses of action in the Krishna consciousness? How can we use it? So I wonder what devotees think about the activity in Krishna consciousness, because we can be engaged in the karmic activity without knowing how to apply our actions in the Krishna consciousness. Just like us getting into the temple or mosque, and there might be a lot of people there, but practically those people, they might not be engaged in devotional service. They might be worshipping in the temple, but when they leave it, they would not do anything about it and be merged into this duality. And we also can find ourselves merged in this duality. So it would be nice to discuss these things, how to practically follow these elevated texts of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Is it possible to still continue to do it now, not in the Satya Yuga, but in this age? That's the question. Mukunda Charan Prabhu, you're welcome. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was moved and inspired greatly by the commentary of Chaitanya Chandra Charan Prabhu, and I wanted to read from the last line to highlight this moment. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. For me, as a sadhaka, this line is very, very inspiring. And I would like to take some practical things, advices for myself, because everybody wants to follow the path of great authorities, and Prabhupada in his commentary, he's quoting the Tadvidhi Pranipatana, that this text is bringing us about the qualification of a student, of the disciple, and the main qualification of him is that you humbly request, and how it is possible for this sadhaka, for the one who, for the practitioner, and also like by citing and repeating the third verse of Shikshashtaka, Trinatapi Sunichana. If I meditate on this verse, trying to express some of the humble state of mind, while being very proud and having no qualities of expressing oneself, Even though having no good qualities, I am still proud. So this is an important state of mind for sadhaka, for the practitioner. And the moment I remember myself that I need to pray to be decent among these devotees, then I could find myself humble enough, and that brings me to the understanding that only after I could feel myself humble enough. And if I am on this wave, then there's a text 17 in the same chapter where Krishna says that if I'm situated correctly and I'm humble enough, then I could hear from my spiritual master or Prabhupada or what the authorities want me to get, and then Sangha is entering me, and then after, as a result of the sadhu Sangha, the correct bhajana kriya is born. And now I wanted to ask the senior devotees, is it the correct way of thinking that I have? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mukunda Charan Prabhu. I appreciate your words. It was very open-hearted to talk about the humble state and humility. When we see that someone is cultivating humility, it's a sign of Vaishnava. Once I've asked Niranjana Swami wanted to know who stays on this path in Krishna consciousness. And he said those who consciously practicing the humility, they can reach the end of the practice. And Trinatapi Sunichana, it's the key to open the door, to be humble. If we all cultivate this humble state of mind, we all can elevate to that platform where we can practically engage ourselves in the rendering of the service to the Lord. So I totally agree with what you said. Yeah, thank you, Mukunda Charan. Mukunda Charan Prabhu just brought this text 4:34. Pranipad. Srila Prabhupada was explaining many times Prakrishna Rupa Pranipad. It's very symbolic, and literally it has a deep meaning. When we worship the spiritual master, saying, I'm a fool, I know nothing, that I need the mercy, that I was born blind, that I need my eyes to be opened, and only spiritual master can open my eyes, and it only can be done by Tattva Darshana, by those who can see. And it's bringing us the question that we need to ask questions, but Srila Prabhupada was saying we need to do it in a humble state of mind. Pariprashna, questions. Then we're gonna value the society of Vaishnavas, and we are accepted in the Vaishnava society, because Vaishnava society is Krishna. And then Sangha happens. Krishna is getting us together when we are humble. And then the 35th text is telling us, Krishna is telling us that the one who is serving his spiritual master and asking him, Prabhupada is saying that this disciple gets the ability to see that Krishna is in the heart of everyone, his heart, in the heart of everyone, and he could see Krishna all around. And that's the humbleness of the spiritual master. He's giving us the society of Vaishnava, and we are being accepted in the Vaishnava society. Hare Krishna, anyone wants to add something to this? Please, dear devotees. Also, I'd like to make an announcement. We have a Devaki Nandana Swami с нами, with us. Finally, he's given his mercy to us by entering our discussions. So we would like to hear from him. Rivati Nandana. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Our glories to Srila Prabhupada. And it is important to hear from you about these practical things regarding devotional service and talking about the philosophy. And when we are getting to the point when we need to be more practical, we usually can't do anything. So it is really important. And I'm sorry I was not listening properly, because I am in the car driving. But please tell us about your activity in the Krishna consciousness. So I would do this. The devotees get inspiration from you. Well, I am engaged in this Food for Life project, and we are feeding some old people every day, and we've spread it like 10,000 portions of hot portions so far. Today we have, there are like 10 devotees engaged in this service, and it's a good development. Every devotee has a plan of personal development. From one side, devotees are growing. From another side, people are getting mercy by taking the prasadam, and that was the will of Srila Prabhupada, and we have all the means appropriate right now, and President Dukhaev awarded our fund by the medal, volunteer medal. It's like a gratitude of the people medal. And so we have the support of the government here, but we're not really expecting for this, but still it helps, and our main thing is to share prasadam of good quality to people. And another project that we are trying to open right now is Food for Money. It's like to make the prasadam to sell. And it's been like half a year that we are engaged in this service. Thank you, Revakinandana Prabhu. Very inspiring. Revakinandana Prabhu is all immersed in this service. And at the same time, we would like to see you more here in the Bhagavatam classes, discussing the Bhagavatam. Thank you for your support. I will try to be. Actually, we start early in the morning making the prasadam, but I will try to be here more often.
Да, пожалуйста, дорогие преданные.
У нас давно не говорила Рада Кришна.
We didn't hear for a long time from Radha Krishna Mataji.
Вам уже не отвертеться.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Guru and Gauranga. Thank you for putting your trust in me, and thanks for your perfect commentary, Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu, and that you bring up the question of practical usage of knowledge. This is very important. Very often we try to discuss these topics here, the way a practitioner can apply this knowledge in his life. How can he address others? And they have like copybooks there, and those disciples and students, they studied this practical side as well. So it's not only theory. So we could use this and be situated in the society outside, to use this knowledge among our relatives and at our jobs, by transforming ourselves to make in relationship with the society, to cultivate self-analysis in ourselves. We every morning we are reading from Ishopanishad, and third mantra. In the third mantra, Srila Prabhupada is saying that first of all, you need to start this process by getting into self-analysis. As Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu said, we cannot tell anything to anyone before we self-realized, we understand ourselves. And regarding my own humble state of mind, I came to the understanding that this understanding you take only from the mode of goodness. In the beginning, you just try to grab this knowledge, reach out for it, and observe it. But at a certain moment, thanks to these discussions among the devotees, like how we chant our japa, I understood that this trying to reach out and grab the knowledge, it's more like the mode of passion. And this knowledge cannot be applied, actually. And it is very important, the self-analysis, to do the self-analysis. When you are in the state of Sharanagati, when you accept yourself, when you have your self-acceptance, and then you see your faults, and then you see your mistakes, and you can correct them. So this action in passion, or reaching out for new knowledge, grabbing it,
И тогда вот эти знания, они становятся не просто, ну, изначально они сладкие, а теперь они еще сладостно становятся прямо твоим вторым состоянием, ложиться на
it's not only there for you to grab, but it's more like it becomes a field of your surrender process. And you see that I cannot do these things, I cannot apply it, and you try to, and you start to address Srila Prabhupada and the Lord, and you know that this knowledge, Sama Purushaya, can be
что мне нужно менять, то эти знания, они просто, знаете, просто как
страсть. Can be applied.
В Советском Союзе много книг надо было.
Because like in the Soviet times, there were many books.
Пойти талончик получить, столько усилий, столько.
You needed a lot of books, and you needed to put a lot of efforts into this process.
Не успевали прочитывать эти.
But there was no time to read from those books. So it's just the same here. If we are not applying it on practice, and if there is no surrender, there would be no humble state of mind. And if you're not humble, then this knowledge will be present there, but you will not be able to use it. So you need to use it in the mode of goodness, complete devotion, accepting yourself, accepting your level, understanding it, and consciously applying this knowledge. Then it's different. Then you see the Lord arranging everything a certain way, and everything is laying a certain way, and you see these connections, and you understand that it's okay, and then you become humble, and you see the God's plan there, and you accept whatever events happening. And when you accept it, that is your best condition then, and it is given to you, and you are expected to act according to your duties. The best way you need to fulfill your duties. So it's your false ego doesn't get into conflict with other devotees' egos. And you do whatever you do to make your spiritual master happy. So this perception brings you happiness, and it's important to, thanks to, not to the theory, but to practice. Our proud can be thrown away. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad-gita, Krishna,
in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, text 8 through 12, well, a well-known text, Krishna is saying what is science and what is nescience. There are 20 points of knowledge, qualities that Krishna is bringing up. And Krishna is saying that the knowledge, the qualities we broadcast by our activity is the real knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada was highlighting 3 points, 3 qualities. He was saying that the topmost is the surrendering oneself to Krishna, devoting oneself to Krishna, because the Lord is the source of all knowledge. So we need to echo Sharanam. And then it will not happen if we are not devoted to the spiritual master. And the third quality is without being humble, amanindam, we cannot be dedicated to our spiritual master. So everything starts with being humble. Vrajamani Prabhu. And then Sri Sanatana. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my obeisances. I wanted to read from a quote by Srila Prabhupada for today, appropriate one. The knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme is enough, but knowing how he spreads himself makes us more tightly connected with him. So this knowledge of Krishna can be applied in all spheres of life. We might have our understanding how to build a family, but there's Krishna's understanding how to build a family. We might think we know how to make the education the right way, just like the senior devotees already said, that we need to be humble to start your education. Karabhajan Prabhu said, we might have our own understanding on how economy should work, but at the same time there is Krishna's understanding of economy. Everything we face, economy and politics, and we think we know it's our, and we know it our way, but there is Krishna's side and Krishna's understanding. So when we are discussing these details of Bhagavatam, they say that the devil is in the details, but the God is also in the details, and it requires a lot of work to get into these details and to distinguish our understanding and the way everything should be done, and Krishna's understanding of everything, how everything should be done. And even accepting this, we need to be humble. Not the way I want it, but the way Krishna wants it. Like the disciples of Prabhupada was saying, you're speculating right now, and disciples, they couldn't understand where is the line between there's speculation and between Krishna's will. There are many of devotees who wants to speak right now, so I'm gonna stop. Shri Sanatan Prabhu. Karabhajan Prabhu. I see many other devotees here. Maybe they would like to talk. Yes, they will. But we would like to hear from you first.
Просто это немного с моей стороны непоследовательно, иногда пропускать вперед, иногда говорить первому.
It's
Ну как вы скажете, Станчан Чаран Прабhu?
Well, I follow. If you want to, you're already expressing the state of humbleness. If you have something to say, please accept this as a service and say. Thank you, I'm taking your order. It's an important topic
Это практически такой фундаментальный сейчас
about
краеугольный
applying
камень.
the knowledge
Люди хотят видеть на
on
практике, что
practice.
представляет из себя
People
сознание Кришны.
really want to see what
Например,
is
если
Krishna
человек приходит в
consciousness in
аптеку, покупает
practice.
лекарство,
In
и оно
practice.
работает, человеку не нужно для этого
It's
давать
just like
сертификат, не нужно идти
someone
куда-то. Он
is
просто
getting into a
понимает, да, это
drugstore
работает.
and getting
Такой человек,
medicine
он
he
может
needs, and it's
распространять это
already working
лекарство
when you take it.
даже
Such
без
a
денег. Он
person
просто
can
будет говорить, да,
spread
оно работает, я
the
это
knowledge
ощущу.
about this, even
Точно так же и
without
наша
anyone
практика.
paying him, because it
Если мы
works. He would
действительно
say it is
практикуем
working.
сознание
So
Кришны,
if we really practicing
то
this
это будет
Krishna
видно,
consciousness,
и люди будут
people will see it
привлекаться,
and they will
потому что они
be
хотят быть
attracted to
счастливыми.
you because they want to be happy.
Как на одном из таких вот собраний мы
Just
говорили о
like
разводах, например, да, мы читаем в наших книгах, там супер семьи, Кардама
we've
Муни,
been talking
Девахути,
about this
там такие возвышенные отношения, но когда мы
divorces
окунаемся в реальность, мы смотрим,
topics
что статистика показывает, в Исконе
earlier,
больше разводов, чем
and we see
в
that
реальном мире.
ISKCON has a lot of
И это
a
это
high
неправильно.
percentage of
Точно
divorces.
так же мы говорим о смирении там и так далее, но когда коснешься кого-нибудь там немного,
So
ложное
it's
эго,
like
там
when we're
такой
discussing something
монстр выскакивает, что страшно
and
становится.
we're touching the surface
Поэтому,
of
когда мы
someone's
говорим
false ego,
о практике, мы
we
действительно
might see a monster
должны
jumping on us.
реально осознать, насколько
So we
мы
need to really
действительно реализовали то, что
understand
мы
how realized
мечтаем, то,
our
что мы
knowledge is.
делаем. Что касается того, что сказал Карабаджана Прабhu,
Regarding what
этого
Karabhajan
опыта
Prabhu said
присутствия Кришны,
regarding the
есть известный
experience,
стих в Бхагаватам, Бхакти Паришанубхава,
there is a
Ранья
famous
и так далее.
text in
Там говорится, что
Bhagavatam
подобно тому, как голодный человек,
that it's just like
когда он ест, он чувствует туштих, пуштик, шут, апайо. Тушти
a
значит
hunger,
горение, пушти значит
hungry
насыщение, кшут апая, значит
man
голод
eats,
уходит. Точно так же, если преданный
his
действительно
hunger goes
практикует,
away.
у него присутствует бхакти, присутствие,
So
он
the
чувствует
devotee is
присутствие
just like
Кришны
that.
и виракти, то есть
When you're
отречение от материального.
applied in devotional service,
Однозначно,
you
если у
feel,
человека нет этого опыта,
you
если он
get
не
the
чувствует
bhakti,
Кришну, то
and
рано
you
или
feel
поздно,
Krishna.
если нет этой связи, то нет счастья.
If
Если
you
нет
don't have this
счастья, то
connection,
рано или
then there
поздно
is no
все это становится
happiness,
бессмысленным.
and
Но люди
then
преданные
your
уходят.
activity
Почему?
is
Не потому,
useless.
что у них много
The
счастья,
reason why devotees
потому
leave
что они
is because they don't
отреклись, а
have
потому что
enough
не хватает
happiness.
счастья, не хватает вкуса. И наоборот, есть привязанность.
They are lacking the
Ну и
taste,
то, что сказал
they
Мукунда Чаран
lacking
Прабху, однозначно,
the attachment.
это очень
And
важная тема
regarding
для всех на любом
Mukunda
уровне.
Charan Prabhu
Всегда
was saying,
смирение, терпение,
humble
почтение. Ну и смирение
qualification is very important.
это однозначно ворота в
Respect
духовный мир.
is very important.
Если
And these are the
мы
gates
будем
to the
практиковать эту
spiritual world.
атмосферу,
If we
как он
practice
сегодня читал в Бхагаватам, где Прабхупада говорит, что просто
this
поклоняться
consciously,
божеству в храме. Это
like
квалификация.
Srila Prabhupada was saying in the Bhagavatam,
Если
just
преданные,
by worshipping
там
the
преданных
deity in the
почитают,
temple,
уважают, если... А почему у нас нет хороших общин? Точнее, нет, начнем так. Почему у нас нет хороших проектов, таких вот
wouldn't be
храмы построены,
enough.
да,
And
практик Кришны, например? Потому что
like,
нет сильных
why
общин.
do we have
Почему нет сильных общин?
lack of
Потому что
strong
не
temples? Is
хватает
because
реально
we're
хороших
lacking
отношений.
strong
Почему не хватает хороших отношений?
society. And
Почему
why do we lack
настоящих
that?
отношений?
Because we're
Потому что не
lacking
хватает смирения.
strong
Потому что
relationship, and
бьются ложное эго. Люди не могут договориться,
false
люди не
egos are
могут
fighting
как-то
between each
сотрудничать
other,
и так
and
далее.
people are not
Хотя на самом деле очень много
cooperating.
светлых умов,
But
есть
there are
очень
so
много
many
замечательных
bright
преданных.
minds
Даже
out
есть
there,
деньги.
and
Даже
and
власть
even
пойдет
money, and
навстречу.
even government
На самом деле
can
это
really
наглухие демоны. Как знаете, когда
help
я учился
and
в
support
Индии,
them.
в то самое
They're
время
not
произошли вот
demons
эти знаменитые
out there.
события на ферме.
I've been in
Индусы,
India
другие
and
преданные, они
on the
подходили и говорили,
farm,
ну как, они там такие демоны.
and I
Я здесь
saw
жил, я знаю, что
some
они не такие
villagers,
уж и
some
демоны.
people
Да, там
would
есть
come
демоны,
in
однозначно,
and
они
say
есть.
they're such
И
demons, but I lived
Но
there. I knew they're
можно
not
договариваться
demons.
даже
You can
с местными
even
чиновниками.
deal with the local
Они
authorities.
смогут, они разрешат нам,
They
но мы
can
должны представить им то, что действительно будет
allow
приемлемо в наших условиях.
this
И тогда люди
activity,
примут на самом
but they
деле
need
сознание
to
Кришны.
see
Это не
this
то, что вот
practical
кто здесь никогда
side
не
of
видел сознание
applying
Кришны.
this
Нет,
this
давайте
knowledge.
представим его таким образом.
So we
То
need
есть на
to
практике, в реальности,
show
сельскохозяйственные общины, хорошие школы,
our
сильные
plans
семьи и так далее. Смирение, в
in
конце
order
концов,
to
в личных
cultivate these
отношениях.
strong schools
Это
and
очень важно.
a strong
Харе
farming
Кришна.
society. It's very important. Hare Krishna.
У меня тут возник некоторый вопрос.
I
Да,
have a
спасибо,
question.
Шри Санатана Госвами Прабhu,
Shri
что
Sanatana Goswami Prabhu.
вот такие практичные вещи сейчас сказал,
Thank you that you're saying it is possible to make this relationship developing between I even got some faith listening from you. And regarding this verse from Bhagavatam that you quoted, there's a practical question. Happiness and renouncement, renunciation, could be felt in the practice. When devotees are chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra and they feel happiness and they feel renouncement at the same time, a devotee feels this renouncement. What should he do about it? I can answer, but let's hear from other devotees who didn't speak yet. It's very interesting question, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Shri Sanatana, could you please repeat your question, the question the way you understood it? When a person practicing, he feels happiness, and at the same time happiness is there in the renunciation from the activity, and the person might feel himself renounced from his family, from his job. And so how can we balance this feeling of renunciation, and still be active, so this happiness wouldn't grow into some undeveloped renunciation? Yes, you understood it correctly. I just wanted to add that you've said that there is a high rate of divorces in the ISKCON, and this rate is so high because people are not looking for ways to solve the problem, but they are getting into this renunciation. So it's more like it's more controversial here, that we need to act at the same time we feel renunciation. What such a person should do? Hare Krishna, I would like to add a few words here. Very often we see bhakti as a renunciation. There could be like a positive aspect here, or negative aspect about it, and a person would think, who cares, I will just start to practice bhakti and I'll be fine. So we just had a few discussions in other Zoom sessions. So we need to accept devotional service not only from the side of renunciation, but from the perspective of other duties. People only think that bhakti is there only when I'm renounced. But bhakti is revealing the things that brings us happiness. It's more like a criteria, and this happiness should be applied on the level where the person is situated. If he is grihastha, if he's a married man, then he needs to be happy fulfilling his duties. So bhakti follows, and we should not, usually a person might be focused on the last topic, the very end of it, of this process. And sometimes Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, a person would feel happiness if he is connected to Krishna. And Prabhupada, just like Prabhupada was saying, that a married woman, and she's having an affair on the side, she would be more careful to her duties, fulfilling her duties in her marriage. And the devotee would be just like that. If he gets this happiness, he is more careful about his duties at the moment. Anyone would like to say something more? Mukunda Charan Prabhu, please. I wanted to talk about different topics, but I will continue this divorces topic. I don't see a problem here that if we are dealing with the family life, sometimes it's been mistaken. There are grihasthas and grihametha, and this is the main thing. I see the problem there. We can see oneself in there. Srila Prabhupada wanted all the grihasthas, the family people, had the deities. This is the important aspect of sadhana bhakti. For example, when we started to practice bhakti seriously and chanting Hare Krishna mantra attentively, usually I suggest the practitioners, beginners, to start with 4 rounds. It's hard to, especially in the morning, 4 rounds. You put more attention into 4 rounds. And we could experiment, make an experiment on ourselves. Those guys who are really serious about the practice. So when we sit down for these 4 rounds and concentrating on this process, we are far away from the family, from the duties and everything. These 4 rounds, I would like to pray the Lord. And if it's my habit and I'm stable in doing this, I will get to the point when I chant my 16 rounds the same way. And when we put our attention, that my mind doesn't get distracted, and if we get to this level of 16 rounds of attentive chanting, we get to that state when we feel this renunciation. We lose the contact with the surrounding. And then we get this taste for the spiritual life. And we form this sadhana in oneself. Just like right now, there is Kartik month, Damodar Ashtakam. And we are setting this deity image, setting this image of Damodar in front of us, and we offer the ghee lamps to him, and we sing him. In the beginning, it's not easy to do it, but if you meditate on the process, you start to feel some happiness awakening inside of you, and these are the practical things we wanted to be focused on today. Thus, in the family, some transformation of relationship starting. It might not be happening right away, and it might take some years, but if we are increasing our standards in the family, trying to make the spiritual atmosphere in the family, bringing some of these things in, our relationship is also being elevated gradually, and your wife and your children gradually being engaged in this process, and then the transformation comes. And then renunciation is not something to fear, to be fearful of. It's a good state, and it would be natural. No one would really discuss these things. And these are the things I wanted to add. But at the same time, I would like to say about today's gathering at Bhagavatatama's place. Just for some talking, and there will be some devotees of senior devotees. We want to start doing something together, and what do we start with from the practical side? We will have Krishna Katha. Today we're going to read from scriptures, holy scriptures, and I think it is very practical. And then Gauranga was giving me a long talk on the system of education, what should be done in the system of education, and I'm more like giving an advertisement of that right now. There will be a 2-week long seminar on nectar of devotion, and all of us are very inspired, those who are engaged in this process, because this is practical activity, and I am asking those devotees who are listening to me right now to take a part in this. Hare Krishna. Thank you. I have a little note here to make. Among my devotees, my disciples, the rate of divorce through these 9 years is 18%. And what is the percentage of divorces in Kazakhstan or Russia? It's over 50%. I've heard that Russia is close to 70%, and maybe Kazakhstan is like 50%. But among my disciples, through these years, we have like 17%. So we are more like civilized still, and it's diminishing. These last 4 years, the rate is diminishing. So there are some positive tendencies. I would like to go back to the discussion of renunciation. The renunciation that is given, brought in the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, is the result. Renunciation or sannyas is the result of us following some steps. The sannyas or renunciation is not the mean to escape from your duties. Otherwise it is called immaturity. And we know that every time we would like to be renounced from something, it's more like irresponsibility. And Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that only by getting yourself into this renounced state of mind, you will not achieve perfection. You need to follow authorized bhakti yoga. Ahaituki is the reason. No reason. It should come naturally. There is a classical approach that Brajamani Prabhu said. We need to follow karma. It purifies the heart. When we're fulfilling our duties, as a result, we have knowledge, wisdom, and renouncement as a result of fulfilling your duties. There is a devotional service when we bring to our level at which we are situated, we bring the elements of Bhakti Yoga. Just like we've been reading from the verse, you need to follow the steps of great mahājanas. So we follow and we serve, and as a result of us following, we're developing the attachment. Attachment and renunciation. He becomes attached to Krishna, and Krishna wants us to be engaged in this, in our duties. So I'm just thinking about sannyasa, and I would like to hear from Sadhu Sangha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, дорогие преданные, Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Chandra Charan, мои поклоны всем.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Я хотел сказать, что Chaitanya Chandra Charan
I wanted to say that Chaitanya Chandra Charan Prabhu
примером является.
is a big example for me. If you were not there, I would give up and quit this, and thanks to your example, I'm holding on. You are the proof that you can be in the family and practice. And tyaga and sannyasa, in the 18th chapter, Krishna is explaining that detachment and renunciation is two different things. We need to get this understanding that detachment from understanding that I'm not the proprietor, Krishna is the proprietor. And Mukunda Charan was bringing a good topic, and I was thinking about it, trying to think over my experience. When there is Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha with the devotees, and Bhajana Kriya, when you are in the process engaged, and then Anartha, Nivriti. And what I understood, according to the Sangha with the devotees, you can hold on to it. The most common mistake of the beginner, he thinks that why do I need all these rules and regulations? I need to be free. Why do these seniors give me these rules and regulations? But these rules and regulations is good for your freedom. I tried to follow everything, but I lost everything in my life, in the family, and I wanted to get renounced afterwards. And it was
И
a
я вот,
devotee who came
и я
to me.
все понял благодаря ему вот общению.
And thanks to
И
his
я понял,
association, I
что
understood
благодаря
that
сатсанге с преданными
thanks
можно
to
пройти
satsanga,
в анаврите, и то есть понимать,
walking hand in
без
hand with the
общения
devotees,
человек, когда
you
надеется на
can
себя,
get
он
through all the
теряется.
difficulties.
В этом опасность, что я
Because
сам
when you
лучше знаю,
expect oneself
поступаю.
to
Я
know
вот
better,
благодаря вот общению с
there is a
преданными,
danger in this.
я всегда Чайтанья Чандрачарам Прабху
Every
слушаю.
time I listen to
И он
Chaitanya
моим
Chandra Charan Prabhu,
является Шикшей
and
Гуру.
he is my Shiksha
И
Guru,
всегда ориентируюсь
I'm
на
always
него
oriented on
и
him,
стараюсь вот как-то вот действовать.
trying to act
Спасибо, я хотел сказать.
according to whatever he says. So thank you so much. That's what I wanted to
Nimai
share.
Hari Prabhu.
Если позволите, можно я тоже скажу пару слов?
Please let me
Харе Кришна,
say a
Карабаджан
couple
Прабху,
of
я
words.
понимаю, что нужно соблюдать
Karbhajan Prabhu,
старшинство
I know
и
there
это
should be
смирение.
some gradation,
Ну, просто сразу за
but
Прабху я хотела
I
сказать,
just
что
wanted to add something that
действительно,
Prabhu was saying.
Чайтанья Чандра Чарам Прабху, вот
Prabhu
он
was
учит
saying
своих
that
учеников
Chaitanya
своим
Chandra Charan
собственным
Prabhu is
примером,
teaching
как
everyone
нужно
by
в семье
his
жить, как
example
нужно
how you
супруги
need to
свои
live
относиться с
in your
уважением,
family,
да.
how
А
you
когда у нас
need
какие-то
to
конфликты с Прабху происходят, я тоже всегда опираюсь на ваш пример
how
и
you need
всегда слушаю,
to have a
вспоминаю слова из
relationship
ваших
with
лекций, когда вы
in
рассказывали,
a
например, в чем
marriage
карма
with wife.
женщины,
And
жены, да,
whenever
что она, если
there is
видит,
a
что там
problem,
муж куда-то, ну,
I
вы
have a
рассказывали
problem with
про
my
два
husband.
вида разума, и,
I
ну, в смысле,
also
два
look forward
вида,
the instructions
как
of
это
Chaitanya
называется,
Chandra
господи,
Charan
что
Prabhu.
мозги у него работают, и, то
And
есть, чувство
I
и
know
разум,
that
да?
Полушария.
according
Да, два
to
полушария, то есть, да, спасибо,
this
Карабаджи Прабху, за подсказку.
lectures of
Когда два
Chaitanya Chandra Charan
полушария у
Prabhu,
мужчин работает не
I
одновременно,
always
как у
remember
женщин, да? Я
this
вот эти лекции ваши
example
всегда
he was
вспоминаю,
bringing
когда
up
вижу,
that
что Прабху оказался на чувственном
there would
уровне, нужно
be
его
that
разуму, да,
Prabhu are
учить.
always
И вы говорили, что
like
женщина должна просто встать
using
перед
only
ним и
one
сказать,
side of
никуда
him
смотреть,
of
сюда
his
смотри, на меня, да?
brain, like
То
if
есть я на практике все
feelings
эти вещи
and
как бы
mind.
применяю, все, что вы говорите, потому что, видите, в ваших
And
словах
I
есть
always
сила, потому что вы
apply
сами так живете,
this knowledge,
и поэтому ваши слова
just
действительно
like an
действуют на
example
нас,
when
действительно они нам помогают,
a
действительно они
person is looking in a
имеют
certain
силу, и эта
direction
сила
away
потом
from a
переходит в нас, и
family.
мы тоже можем ими пользоваться.
I'm
Поэтому
more
я
like
вам очень
bringing
благодарна,
this
что вы вот
knowledge
являетесь
by
таким
Chaitanya
примером,
Chandra
да,
Charan Prabhu and
именно действительно
telling him,
такого грехаски. Вами,
stop
вашей
looking
супруге,
there,
матушке
look
Гарачам,
here.
я
So
очень
I'm
благодарна. Я
bringing
думаю, что
his
многие семейные пары, они, наверное, берут с вас
intellect,
именно пример. И очень здорово, когда есть
fighting
такой
the
пример живой.
feelings. So
Как
I'm
Кришна что же
always
говорит в
following
Бхагавад-гите, что
your
мы должны,
authority,
даже
and
если мы отречены от всего,
Mata
мы должны
Gaurachandrikas also.
показывать свой пример,
We
да,
need
собственным
to
примером должны всех учить.
show and
Вот.
teach
И
everyone
тяга —
by
это
our
отречение от
own
плодов, не от самой деятельности, а
example.
отречение от плодов
And
деятельности.
Tyaga is
Поэтому,
not
когда
the
мы в своем
renunciation, is
сознании
more
уже
like
достигаем такого отречения,
detachment
что нам
from
уже
the
ничего не
fruits of
хочется, да,
activity.
всё
When
материальное
we are
нас
reaching this
отвлекает,
state,
но мы это всё
when
равно
we
используем
don't want
для
to
служения Кришне, мы все это делаем для примера, потому что понимаем, что вокруг нас люди находятся,
do
много
something
молодежи,
else, then
они неопытные, незрелые, не
we
знают
need
много
to
чего.
remember
Поэтому мы
that
просто свой
we
опыт, свои знания
need to
передаем
apply our
через свой
knowledge
пример собственный. Вот я
in
вот это хотела
our
добавить. Много чего
activity
хотела сказать, но ладно. Я еще
to
одну
be
вещь
an
хочу
example to this
Еще одну вещь
youth.
хочу сказать.
There is
Спасибо,
one more thing that I
Карабаджан Прабху,
wanted
что
to
так
say.
милостивы ко мне и
Thank you
всегда
for your
позволяете
mercy
говорить.
letting
Сейчас
me
я скажу. Не
speak.
надо меня торопить, Прабху. Когда вы торопите, знаете, мысли все уходят. Я вас всегда смиренно слушаю, когда вы
I'm
очень много
always
там
very
теоретически
humble
даете знаний нам, да? А я
listening
вот
to
хочу
you, and
практически
I would like
поделиться,
to
как
share some
Чайтанья
of the
Прабху
practical
сказал.
advices
Вот.
here.
Часто бывает,
please
что
let me
преданные, когда
speak.
хотят какие-то проекты
Very often, when
делать,
the
да, вот
devotees would
именно
like
в
to
реальность,
share
в реальную жизнь
some of their
воплощать
ideas and projects,
теоретические знания,
and they
многие
shared
старшие
some
преданные
theory, a
препятствуют
lot of
этому
senior
и говорят,
devotees,
что не хотим давать вам своих
they
благословений
don't
и так
want,
далее.
they say, we
Иногда
don't
кажется,
want
что
to
их эти препятствия, они
give
из
you
благих
allowance
намерений. Но на
to
самом деле
this.
иногда
And
просто видно,
sometimes we
что
think that
легче действительно с чиновниками даже договориться, чем с
these
нашими некоторыми старшими преданными. Я знаю, что могут на меня
senior
обидеться сейчас,
devotees
что я тут прямо
making
говорю. Простите,
making
я
some
женщина, я матаджи, я могу говорить эти вещи. Может быть, Прабху будут там из
problems
каких-то
on the
этих
path.
молчать, чтобы там отношения не
And
разрушить и так
very
далее.
often
Но
it
мне
is
кажется,
not
иногда
very
для блага
easy
старших преданных тоже полезно
to get
послушать
understanding
какую-то правду
among
о себе.
our
Харе
society
Кришна, не хочу никого
than
обижать, это просто я как есть, так и говорю.
dealing
Как
with
Шила
the
Прабхупада нас
government
учит.
local government.
Харе
Thank you
Кришна,
for letting me
Спасибо,
say
спасибо.
Hare Krishna.
Я еще раз понял, наши полушария не работают хорошо. Без хорошей жены, без матери, как бы вы
Another
представляли в эту сторону.
one more time, it is important for me to
Мать, можете что-то сказать. Это
say
помогает
that
нам.
thank you
Хорошо,
very much
спасибо.
that
Спасибо.
you're
И
showing
мои
this
коллеги,
side.
это у нас давно уже хочет сказать
It is
что-то.
important to have a good wife on your side.
Харе Кришна,
Always.
не то чтобы я сильно вот сказать хотел, просто действительно вот Читан
Hare Krishna.
вопросом вот
It's not
вдохновили,
that
как-то
I'm really
до этого
willing to speak right now, but
не
there is
стремился
something
сильно
to share right now
высказываться. Но вот вопрос,
regarding this
правда,
topic.
хороший про то, что вот у нас мы читаем джапу,
That
возникает
we're
у нас
reading japa
счастье, ощущение
and we
счастья,
have the
возникает
feeling of
отречение,
happiness,
почему вот это
and
возникает
then we have
счастье,
the
возникает
renunciation
ощущение Кришны,
coming,
потому что мы Кришну
because
начинаем видеть.
we started
И
to
отречение
we're
от
starting to see
всего,
Krishna,
что с Кришной не связано, то есть от всего материального,
and
оно
we would
отрекается.
like to
Тоже
have
такая,
to be
правильно,
detached from
естественно,
everything that is
следующая
not
вещь.
connected
Теперь
with
вот нам надо,
Krishna.
чтобы у нас не было потом на духовной жизни каких-то вот таких вот, не спотыкались мы, надо понятие, кто такой вообще
So,
Кришна. То есть вот мы его видим, где мы видим? Вот Кришна это
not to
божество.
stumble on
Сначала
our
мы вот так
way,
вот видим, поэтому
we
мы
need to
приходим в
see
храм,
and
повторяем
understand who
Харе
is
Кришна,
Krishna.
мы
When we
счастливы,
get to the
что
temple and
здесь
we are
Кришна,
happy,
то мы понимаем, что Кришна-то он, в общем-то, не просто в божестве, он в преданных. Мы общаемся с преданными и начинаем вот это
we see
воспринимать
Krishna
таким
in the
образом. Кришна,
association with the
но
devotees,
постепенно, вот если мы действительно
and
развиваемся,
gradually
для нас вот это понятие Кришны, оно расширяется. Мы начинаем понимать, что Кришна-то, он
we see
находится во
this
многих
term
местах,
or
в частности, в
definition of
наших
Krishna
обязанностях.
being
Как вот
spreaded
мы можем
out,
проявить
and we
Кришну
see
в том, что
Krishna
мы
in
делаем, чем мы
fulfilling our
занимаемся в
duties.
практической деятельности. Можем просто заниматься чем-то в храме, делать для Кришны.
We can do
Даже
something for
выходим
Krishna.
на улицу, мы делаем это только для Кришны. Потом мы
We can
начинаем
do it
понимать, что Кришна проявляется вот в том, что
in the
мы
temple, like
делаем в принципе в
practically,
наших
and then we
обязанностях,
go
стараемся
out
их правильно выполнять
of the
вот
temple and we try to
ответственным
fulfill
образом.
our
И
duties
тогда Кришна
outside the
начинает во всем этом
temple, and
проявляться.
we see Krishna
В конечном итоге, к
everywhere.
чему это все приводит?
In the end,
У нас же как идет по ашрамам, получается, брахмачари,
because we are following through these steps of or ashramas, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa, and very often there is an understanding that renouncement is when you detach from everything and get rid of everything. But renunciation means our responsibilities are growing. When we add a new thing, we still have previous responsibilities. It's like when you get into from grihastha into vanaprastha, you still have these responsibilities. And Uttamadhikari, he can see Krishna everywhere. So regarding the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, I wanted to say, Prabhupada says that religion is not for gaining the material gain or the knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. So, and Prabhupada uses this term religion along with the term dharmam. Let's determine those 12 mahājanas whose example we need to follow. I was reading from Mahabharata yesterday, and there is an example of Yudhishthira when he was asked. Maharaja Yudhishthira was talking to Vidura and his brothers, and he wanted to know what was there among these three topics of wealth and religion. He was talking about dharma, artha, kama. And his brothers were saying dharma is the most important, artha was the most important, the other was saying, and kama was the most important, someone said.
Вот Бишма, он об этом
But
в
Bhishma
частности говорил,
and
он потом
Bhishma was
подытожил,
like
что в действительности
saying
все
that
три важны. То есть
all
мы должны
three
правильным образом все это использовать.
were
И
important.
потом Махарадж Юдхиштира сказал, да, говорит, все
And
замечательно
Maharaj
то, что вы
Yudhishthira
сказали,
said,
но все это должно потом вести
it
к
is
освобождению. То есть
very
все
good
это
that all of
мы
this
используем, поскольку это в
mentioned
итоге
by
приводит к
you,
мокше.
but it should
Вот
lead to
Махабхарате
moksha in the end.
дальнейшая логика не развивается, но это уже логика в Шримад
So our
Бхагаватам,
logic
говорится, что
should grow and
Шримад
develop.
Бхагаватам это книга, которая не
And
говорит
Shrimad
ни о
Bhagavatam
Дхарме,
is
ни о
not
Дхарме,
talking
ни о Каме и ни о Мокше, а
about
говорит о Бхакти. То есть, по
karma
сути
or
дела, это значит,
dharma
как вот мы
or artha
все то,
or
что
moksha.
делаем,
It's
занимаемся
telling
этим
us
всем
about
делом. Как обычно,
bhakti.
кто вот очень
So
хорошо
everything, whatever we have, should
отметил
be
красиво,
applied
что
in devotional
значит
service.
отречение.
And
Отречение
what
это,
is
конечно, значит
renunciation?
отречение от деятельности
It
ради
it
плодов.
is of course
Но
means the
отречение также означает отречение от
detachment from the
отречения ради
fruits of
освобождения.
activity, but
Мы
at the
должны
same
перестать
time,
думать
it's
о
the
том, чтобы как
detachment
бы
from the liberation.
отречься от каких-то материальных вещей, чтобы перестать страдать. И начать думать о том, чтобы
We should be detached from
начать действовать для Кришны.
this material perception, and we need to start working for Krishna.
Хари Кришна.
Hare Krishna.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Вот Гиридхари
And Giridhari
давно
Prabhu.
держит микрофон.
Харе Кришна, дорогие преданные, Читань Чарам Рабу, примите поклоны, пожалуйста.
Please accept my
Большое
obeisances,
спасибо. Сегодня
all
была
the devotees.
удивительная лекция Шрила
It was
Прабхупады.
a great lecture by
Также
Srila Prabhupada
обсуждение.
today, and discussion
И из
followed.
лекции больше всего мне запомнилось,
And what I remembered
как здесь
the
Шрила
most from the
Прабхупада
lecture is
выделил
that
три вопроса.
when Srila Prabhupada
Он
highlighted
сказал,
three
что совершенное
questions, he
счастье,
said the perfect
что все
happiness.
стремятся к совершенному
Everybody
счастью.
is
Ну и есть
trying
в
to
ведах
reach the perfect
рекомендации
happiness,
разные
and
рекомендации.
Shastra is given different
Но
recommendations and
эти разные
instructions
рекомендации, они не
how to do
приводят
it,
к совершенному
but
счастью.
all
Может
of
быть, к
them,
какому-то
they're
счастью
not leading
приводят,
you
но к
towards
совершенному
perfect
счастью приводит
happiness.
лишь преданное служение.
Perfect
Только
happiness
преданное
is
служение
only
может привести к
being
совершенному
reached
счастью.
by
И как это можно,
devotional
Шрила Прабхупада
service,
задает
and
опять
Srila
вопрос,
Prabhupada
сам же
is
потом отвечает, как узнать,
putting
что
this
хочет
question,
Кришна?
and he's answering later, how do
И
we know we
что хочет Кришна,
are
Кришна
serving
сам
Krishna,
говорит об этом, что он хочет.
and what
Яра
Krishna
Декет
wants? And
Харикаха,
Krishna,
Шрила
whatever
Падеши,
Krishna wants, he's
Читание, где бы то
he's
ни было
saying it
говорит
by
о
himself.
Кришне. И потом, как раскрыть глаза? Шрила Прабхупада задает вопрос. И также
And
отвечает, что
Prabhupada
глаза
saying,
можно
how do we
раскрыть только
open our
через
eyes?
истинного духовного учителя.
And he's saying,
Почему? Потому что духовный
you open
учитель
your eyes
видит
through
Кришну.
the
И
through
вот
the
метод,
spiritual
также метод
master.
указан, Шрила Прабхупада говорит в
And
конце лекции.
there is also a method
Пожалуйста,
given
повторяйте святые имена,
that you need to
читайте,
chant
обсуждайте
holy
их.
names and
Если вы устали, то
discuss
вкушайте просад, вот это метод. Вот эти
what
вещи и
you've heard. And
обсуждение
then,
было
if you
очень
feel tired, you need
замечательно.
to take
Именно
the
последний
prasadam.
вопрос, то, что
And the
Читание
last
Чарам
question,
Прабху
what
сказал,
Chaitanya
когда
Chandracharan Prabhu
преданный
said,
начинает
that
читать
when you chant
мантру,
your mantra,
ощущение счастья приходит,
the feel
в то же
you
время
feel the happiness, and at the same time,
отречение, хочется
you
отречься от всего.
you
И мы
would
знаем
like
очень много
to
примеров. Это
renounce
уровень Каништха Адхикари, конечно же, вот этот
from the
энтузиазм,
activity.
ложный энтузиазм.
And we know
Хочется
Kanishta
от всего
Adhikari,
отречься, быстро достичь
when he feels
совершенства.
this
Но мы знаем, что
false,
если здесь не применяется разум, то на примере мы видим
when
очень
when he
многие,
is
когда вот это отречение
in that
происходит,
state
счастье, отречение одновременно, да? Но если отречение без разума,
of
да, не зная, как правильно отрекаться, то
false
в конце концов выходит, что
renunciation,
это счастье исчезает, и человек опять или преданный опять возвращается, или вообще уходит, или возвращается
the one might
как бы на
get
начало.
into this renunciation, but at the same time,
Но
he
если
would he is losing
применять разум
he is
и
losing
отрекаться, я вот на
whatever
своем
he
примере хочу сказать,
feels.
что когда я начал
But if you apply
читать
your knowledge and
мантру,
intellect,
мне очень
rendering
хотелось,
the
я понимал,
service,
что я очень сильно
then you
загрязнен,
might
мне
keep it.
хотелось
When
очень
I
сильно
was
быстро очиститься,
started practicing,
и
I
читал
wanted
очень
to
много
be
мантр,
purified very
потерял,
quick.
я совсем не
I
отрекался,
was
но
chanting
какое-то отношение к
a
сыну,
lot
к
of
жене у меня
japa,
стало меньше внимания, да?
and
И
with the
это
time I
уже
lost
даже
my
вот это
focus on my
небольшое, как бы,
family, my
мое неправильное
children,
действие, что
my
я
wife,
больше уединялся,
and
больше читал джапу, очищался,
and
а
I wanted to
внимание
be
стал
purified
меньше уделять жене и сыну.
as soon as
И
possible.
это в конце, даже вот это
So in the
небольшое
end,
неправильное действие, в конце привело о том, что у нас немножко отношения испортились. После этого
I
пришлось очень
I've
много усилий
wait,
прилагать, чтобы
I've
эти отношения опять наладить.
I had problems in my
Поэтому вот
family
эта
life,
ошибка
and
многих
then I
начинающих
had
преданных,
to
что отрекающих не понимают
establish the
смысл.
contact with
И как
my
вот
close
Рабху
ones, with my
сказал,
family.
что отречение
So
на
the
самом деле это
renouncement,
результат, а не способ
renunciation is the
добиться чего-то.
result, not
Харе Кришна, еще
the
раз большое
means,
спасибо. Я вот коротко так сказал, хотелось
just
еще
like
много,
Prabhu
не
said.
буду занимать время.
Okay, Hare Krishna,
Харе
thank you
Кришна,
very
спасибо.
much.
Харе Кришна. Ну что ж, Чайтанья Чандра Прабху, вы хотите сделать какое-то заключение?
Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu, would you like to
Читание
summarize
у
a
нас
bit?
здесь
40%, вот вы спрашивали, в Казахстане 40% браков заканчиваются разводами.
Kazakhstan has
Причем
40%
тенденция к
rate
увеличению, то есть в 2000 году было 30%,
rate of
а в
divorces,
2000 уже,
and it's growing.
ну, вот 18, 19, 20 уже 40%.
Шейсанат Нагасвами Прабhu, извините, это вы сейчас говорите среди преданных или...
Нет, нет, это в
It's
материальном мире,
it's
как
in
в
the
Казахстане
material
вообще.
world, not among the devotees.
Чайтанья Чандра Прабху, что-то изображение исчезло.
Я думаю, там с интернетом проблема.
Мгм.
Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu,
Ну что,
we
наверное,
lost
как
you.
сейчас Чайтанья Чандра Прабху появится,
So we might,
наверное, будем завершать.
let's wait till
Хотя вот к нам
Prabhu
присоединились
comes
еще
back and we might finish then.
Гауранга Прабху
But we
и
also have a couple
Говинда
of
Чаран Прабху.
devotees
У нас
Говинда
сегодня
Чаран Прабху, я знаю,
joining
что он в
us.
Израиле, и он работает в это время за рулем, поэтому не всегда бывает возможность говорить. Гауранга Прабху присоединился. Если они что-то хотят, эти удивительные
These two
вайшнавы,
devotees, if they would like to add
то
something,
на этом мы завершим
you'll be
нашу
welcome.
сегодняшнюю встречу.
And then we'll finish
Гауранга Прабху,
our
пожалуйста, заключительное слово.
discussion.
Чайтанья Чандра появился.
We have Chaitanya
Вы слышали
Chandracharan
Чайтанья
Prabhu
Чандра
back.
Прабху? Я
Did
говорил,
you hear
что
me
Гауранга
saying
Прабху
that
чуть позже
we have two
присоединился,
devotees joining us,
также
Gauranga
Говинда
Prabhu
Чаран с
and
нами,
Govinda Charan,
но он, правда, в
also
Израиле
with
и
us.
на
He's in
работе,
Israel and
за
he's
рулем.
working, he's driving.
Говинда Чаран, Харибол.
Oh, Govinda Charan Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Наши рады, что ты с нами.
Please accept
Конечно,
our
наш
obeisances. We're glad
Покажи,
you're
где ты
with
есть.
us. Show
Покажи
us
на экране,
yourself.
тебя можно увидеть?
Харибол,
Мы
мои
сейчас
поклоны
посмотрим, насколько
преданные.
ты
Hare
отречен.
Krishna. Please accept my humble
Я
obeisance. We
просто
want to
не могу
see
включить, у меня
how
связь очень плохая.
renounced you are.
Все время отключается.
Well, I
Ну,
cannot
есть связь с ним.
put the video on because I have a bad connection here.
Изображения нет, но
The picture
голос
is not
слышим.
there, but we hear you.
Голос слышите? Я не слышу ничего.
Ну-ка еще раз. Говинда Чаран.
Say it
Я
again, Govinda Charan.
предлагаю вам всем мое почтение и мои поклоны.
Would you like?
Я очень далеко,
Would you
и у меня
please
связь
accept my
плохая,
humble
но я всех очень
obeisances?
люблю.
I love
Внимательно
all of you,
слушаю всё
and
время.
I'm attentively hearing from
Hare
you
Krishna.
all the
Слышь.
time.
Слышим голос, спасибо.
Чайтанья Чандра Прабху.
Ау.
Chaitanya Chandracharan Prabhu.
Вот Гауранга Прабху тоже
Gauranga
присоединился.
Prabhu
Может быть,
just
последнее
joined.
слово дадим ему, потом вы
Should we
сделаете
give him the
заключение и
last
завершим.
word and then we're gonna finish it?
Мне сейчас нужно уже отойти.
I am
Поэтому я
about to
просто
leave
пару
this
слов скажу.
conversation, so I
Да,
will
пожалуйста.
just say a couple words.
То есть я хочу
Yes,
выразить
please.
всем,
I would like
спасибо
to
большое.
express my sincere
это общение,
gratitude
то,
for
что
this
складывается
association,
Очень
for
полезное,
this
полезное.
useful
Если мы
conversation.
хотим что-то делать для Прабхупады,
If we want to do something
мы
for
хотим подняться
Prabhupada
на более высокий уровень
and
отношений,
get higher
деятельности. И, конечно, для
on
этого
a higher
требуется
level,
отречение,
of course, we
и,
need
то есть
some
непривязанность
renunciation for it and some
к своему
detachment
положению, к
for
материальным достижениям,
our
к своим,
material achievements
обозначениям, к своему
and some
самомнению.
titles and
Вот.
ego.
И, то есть как чисто внутренний, да, я сейчас рассматриваю процесс отречения.
It's
И мы
eternally, if you
отходим с
look at
вами
the
от
process of
просто внешних
renunciation,
понятий отречения.
we're getting
Это
from
вначале
some
очень большую пользу приносит, да,
exterior
скажем, для
the
образования,
definitions
обучения,
of renunciation. Of course, education gives us some practical understanding how to live with this knowledge in the heart, to overcome the difficulties of the moments of happiness and distress in outside life and in our work. We might have some turbulences, but thanks to the renunciation, we would protect our bhakti and continue to serve Krishna without being envious to others, finding oneself on our level with the renunciation in the heart, and then it is said that Krishna will be teaching us and liberating us. So I am thankful for these discussions. Thanks to the association with the Vaishnavas, I'm happy we still have this Sangha in the Middle Asia. It's a pearl. The Sadhu Sangha is the main thing among all the aspects of bhakti. Sadhu Sangha is everywhere, in our ashramas, in our duties, performing our duties. Sadhu Sangha is most important value, and it gives us some practical success. So I'm leaving. Thank you very much.